strengthen our system and see that the glory will come back to all of us. With this, I thank His Excellency Sri Vishwabhushan Harichandan, Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh, for accepting a chief guest for this South Zone Vice Chancellors meet. I also thank AIU President Dr. Tej Partap, Vice Chancellor GB Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, and Honorable Sri M. Sri Bharat Garu for giving us an opportunity to host this event, and esteemed Colonel Dr. B. Tiruvasangam, Vice President AIU VC Academy of Maritime Education and Training, and respected Madam Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General AIU. And also I thank the team from AIU. They have worked a lot for making this event happen, and also a team from Geetham University, our Pro Vice Chancellor, Academics Registrar, and other members have done a lot of work to see that this little event will happen. With this, I thank all of you for giving us an opportunity to host this event. Thank you all. I hope and wish these 2 days are going to be a lot of learning for all of us. Thank you once again. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for the warm note of welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to introduce to you the young president of Geetham, Sri M. Sri Bharat. Sri M. Sri Bharat holds an undergraduate degree from Purdue University, West Lafayette, in BS in Industrial Engineering class of 2010. He also completed a joint degree, MBA, MA Education class of 2016 in Stanford University, Palo Alto, CA, USA. After returning to India from Stanford in 2016, he established a 3.5 MW solar power plant and led the company's foray into solar power generation. He is also diversifying into hydroenergy and chemical waste treatment. Sri Bharat currently serves as board member of TAI Amravati and board member and learning chair of EO Andhra Pradesh. He's an active member in Hyderabad Angels and Andhra Angels. He's an investor and advisor of a select group of promising startups. His past experiences include commissioning of a 460 MW gas-based power plant, quality control and operations in Leah Sophia Incorporation, Chicago, investment banking at Kavi Financial Services, Hyderabad. His most recent stints during his MBA were in the innovation delivery team of the Atlanta Mayor's Office, USA, and a marketing immersion in Sheraton Hsinchu, Taiwan. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, may I invite the president of Geetham, Sri M. Sri Bharat, to address the gathering.
Thank you, Sushma Garu. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Vishwabhushan Harichandan, Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh, for agreeing to be our chief guest for this event. I think the introduction given to me was about 2 years old when I came into this role as president. I'm looking very young to lead this organization, but my father's father, Dr. MBVS Murthy, established Geetham in 1980 as an engineering college. It became a deemed university in 2007. And like my introductor said, I did my engineering and my MBA, MA education joint degree in the US. I studied at Purdue University. I studied at Stanford University. Between Purdue and Stanford, I was in India from 2010 to 2014. In those 4 years, I worked in Geetham in the establishment of the campus. And when I worked there, I was so starkly surprised how different the education experience was when I was a student and what we were offering to our students. And there were some things that needed to change, some things that needed to adapt for the future. And we needed to build on the foundation of the past. I think fast forward from 2010 to now, after my grandfather passed away, I've stepped into this role as president of Geetham. Today, we're a 23,000 student organization. We have about 1,500 faculty members. And if we were to look at a macro picture, I'm very sad that there is not a single Indian institution in the global 100 rankings. While in terms of potential, I think we have many institutions that deserve to be there, whether it be the IITs, IIMs, Indian Institute of Science, or some other institutions of excellence in the private sector also. So what is it that is this gap? Why can't we get there? So when I came into this role, I think the strong desire was to pursue excellence and to build Indian institutions that can show the world that we also are worthy of being in the global 100 rankings and will compete with the best institutions in the world. So with that mission, I stepped into this role. And as our Vice Chancellor, Shriram Krishna Garu, has said, we're named after Gandhi. And Gandhiji stood for so many values that we are not seeing in society today, like truth, ahimsa, resilience, service to society. And I think today's age calls for some values that in a changing world, like diversity, collaboration, and agility. So pursuing excellence through values is the vision mission of Geetam today. We have built an ambitious goal of making Geetam into a global 100 university by 2040, which gives us about 20 years from now. And I think we will get there only when all of us come together and work together, which would include the government agencies, which would include the regulatory bodies, which would include the students, faculty, leaders. The last 2 years in my role have been really exciting, really rewarding, and transformational in the kind of work that we're doing. And I think the new education policy that the government of India has announced, I have gone through it in detail. I'm very excited to see those changes come through because I think the education reforms or regulatory environment that has existed so far has been to ensure a minimum level of quality in institutions across the country, which number over 40,000. But I think the minimum level of quality is one exercise that needs to be done. But the other exercise is how do we find our high potential institutions and enable them to really grow? And I think the national government has taken steps in that direction with the categories of university that they've announced, category 1, 2, 3, with the NAC accreditation, which is being given more focus, with the NIRF rankings, where they want to bring in more transparency in how institutions are performing, and now the institutions of eminence. So I think all of these indicate the commitment of the Indian government to build institutions of excellence, and we are excited by the development in this direction. And I think some of the things that NEP proposes are transformational. I think our request to the leaders in this meeting, including vice chancellors and representatives of AIU and other statutory bodies, are that we can do it. I do believe that we can do it. But these policies that are there in terms of giving students easy exit and easy entry, and giving them multidisciplinary access, creating online learning modules, enabling so many different features that today put higher education accessible to the larger Indian population. Because as the topic of today is about governance and finance reforms, we understand that a majority of the Indian students cannot afford high cost education in the future. So we have to be innovative about how we deliver this education, and incorporating blended learning practices and adapting more online degrees is something that we must do to provide access to more citizens of the country. And in terms of coming to the governance and finance reforms, third, I would like to bring a few points to everybody's attention. See, the governance today, we are restricted by the many agencies that exist to the extent that they ensure that a certain level of quality exists, but how do you maximize the potential? How do we pursue excellence? That is where I think I don't see enough policies being formulated. And I think the implementation of NEP and creating a self-regulatory environment and creating transparency in rankings and accreditation so that the entire country and its population and citizens have access to it, I think will drive institutions to pursue excellence. And the ones who do not will automatically fall behind. I think that is what gives us a lot of energy, because we are creating a meritocratic environment where the best institutions will flourish and thrive and set an example for other institutions to follow. And in terms of finance, I think as many of you know and are aware, especially the private institutions, a majority of our revenue is coming from student tuition. And we are expected to use that student tuition for all of the elements that lead to furthering of quality of higher education, which would include investing in high quality faculty, in high quality research equipment, and in building partnerships with relevant organizations. But I must also remind that a critical element of growth is to create physical infrastructure, including land and buildings. And I think the challenges that we face today with the increasing cost of physical infrastructure, including purchasing land, I think it makes it very challenging for universities, particularly private, in allocating resources towards intellectual capacity, because we're always torn. And if I were to just give the example of Gita, in Bangalore, we currently have a 60-acre campus, but the vision that we have built requires us to have a much larger piece of land. And I think there, I always feel a little left out when government institutions are given hundreds of acres to set up universities, but private universities are not. And I do think that private universities should also be enabled to expand their infrastructure, enable us to create a holistic ecosystem within the campus where students are developing not only academically, but also 360 degrees, which would include in student life activities, in sports, in health and wellness, so that their psychological and physical well-being is taken care of. So that by the end of the 4-year or 2-year program that they're doing in the university, they come out as responsible, confident, value-driven individuals who have a strong sense of purpose. Because I think knowledge imparting is definitely a critical part of what we do. But I think in the formative years when they're with us, I think the impact that we have on their character is also very significant. And I think creating that ecosystem on campus will go a long way in developing citizens who will be the future leaders of the country. And in that regard, I think the policies that the NEP speaks about, or the finance reforms that I'm earlier saying, but giving support to institutions to develop high quality infrastructure would be much obliged in helping education to grow in the country. And I think we should create a healthy competition between public and private institutions to pursue excellence. And ultimately, the best will survive and thrive, and the ones who don't will fall behind. I thank AIU, the President, Dr. Tej Pratap, and Secretary General, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, and any other leaders that I have missed for setting up this event and bringing together all of the Vice Chancellors from South India. It's a great opportunity to meet you all. It is our pleasure at Geetham to host this event. And I really wish that the dialogue that goes on over these 2 days really helps all of us to build organizations that feed off each other's energy, build collaboration, and make India into a global powerhouse in terms of providing high quality education. And we become a center of attracting international students from not only Southeast Asian or African countries, but from students all over the world. I look forward to that day. Thank you all, and thank you again, Bishwabhushan Harichandan ji, Honorable Governor, for agreeing to be our chief guest. Namaskar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your impressive thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now introduce to you Dr. Mrs. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General, Association of Indian Universities. Dr. Mrs. Pankaj Mittal is a Fulbright scholar and a topper in MSc and PhD in Agricultural Statistics from IARI, New Delhi. She has an experience of about 3 decades in higher education and policy planning and management of higher education. Dr. Mittal was appointed by the government of Haryana as the first regular Vice Chancellor of Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, the first rural women's university of North India. She has widely traveled all over the world for academic purposes. She was also the proud recipient of Fulbright Nehru Scholarship Grant for Educational Administrators, the prestigious award for digital initiatives in higher education, and many more prestigious awards. On this note, may I request Dr. Mittal to address the gathering.
Thank you, Sushma. Thanks for introducing. Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh, Shri Bishwabhushan Harichandan ji, respected President of AIU, Dr. Tej Pratap ji, respected Vice President of AIU, Colonel Dr. Thiru Vasadam ji, the visionary and young President of Geetham, Shri M. Shri Bharat ji, the Vice Chancellor of Geetham, Professor K. Shivaram Krishna ji, distinguished chairpersons and speakers of various technical sessions, representatives of the apex bodies, esteemed vice chancellors of various universities, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to welcome the Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh to our AIU South Zone Conference of Vice Chancellors, and thank you for sparing time for us. I understand, sir, that you were not very well, but in spite of that, you have humbly requested, you have agreed to our humble request. So we are very, very grateful and obliged to you, sir. Thanks for being with us today. I welcome all the Vice Chancellors who have joined from the South Zone of India to attend this meet, which is on governance reforms and financing of higher education. A very warm welcome to you. And I'm sure that you won't be disappointed because the type of speakers we have today is really good, and there'll be threadbare discussions, and all of you will be participating in the discussions. What we are doing right now is first, most of the Vice Chancellors would be knowing, but just to apprise the Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh, Association of Indian Universities is the association of about 822 universities of India, out of 1,822 are our members. And we do a lot of activities in terms of academics, research, youth affairs, sports events, and equivalence of foreign degrees with Indian degrees, which is a mandate given to us by the Ministry of Education. So in this context, we also hold conferences. I mean, one of the academic areas of the AIU is that we hold conferences of vice chancellors every year. We hold 6 conferences, 5 zonal conferences and 1 main conference. And for the last year, what we have decided is that the main conference will have a theme and the sub-themes will be in the 5 zonal conferences. So this year for the main conference, we have had the theme implementation strategy for NEP 2020. So what we are trying to do right now is to develop a very good implementation document, because we all know that the policy is a very good document, forward-looking, student-centric document. But the crux lies in the implementation of the document, and if you don't implement it in letter and spirit, it will be just like a very good book put in our showcases or in the libraries or in our shelves. So the crux lies in the implementation. Therefore, in keeping with the times, we decided that the implementation strategy of NEP 2020 should be made. So we collaborated with a university called Jindal Global University, and we are preparing a draft implementation strategy. And the concept papers are based on the strategy drawn out in that document. And now it is being discussed in every conference. We already have had 4 conferences. This is the 5th zonal conference. Now, based on the discussions, we will revise the document, and in the main conference, we'll submit the document on implementation strategy of NEP to the Government of India, to the UGC, to the AICTE, which will indicate for each recommendation of the NEP that what are the action points for each recommendation, who is the actor responsible for that particular point, what are the timelines, and what will be the performance indicator for assessing whether the performance has been rightly done or not. So far we had 4 zonal conferences. Each zonal conference was on equity and access. West was on teacher education, vocational education, and professional education. Central zone vice chancellor was on promoting quality research and internationalization, and the north zone was on holistic and multidisciplinary education with technology integration. Now the 5th zonal conference, and the last zonal conference is being held today and tomorrow in Geetham University on governance and financing, governance reforms and financing higher education. I also take this opportunity to thank Geetham University for hosting this conference and making all the arrangements. I know that they have been working very, very hard. The team of Geetham, the team of AIU has been working very hard to make this conference a successful. And I also extend my best wishes to the conference. Again, for the kind information of the Honorable Governor, sir, and the Vice Chancellors here, the last year has been a bit difficult year for all of us because the universities were closed, colleges were closed, and we had to do everything online. And but AIU, because it is the Association of Indian Universities, so we wanted to assist all our universities, all our member universities. We wanted to help them, and we wanted to see that the higher education system is not impacted much. So during the COVID time also, AIU was very active. I will be giving a detail in the on AIU business session, which will be held tomorrow, but because Honorable Governor is here and he won't be available tomorrow, so I just wanted to tell you in brief that we held many online workshops for training the teachers on how to teach online. And when I say how to teach online, it is how to teach online effectively, because just like sitting and giving the lecture doesn't mean anything. So how to teach effectively in an online manner. The placements were an issue with the students because most of the placements were not happening due to COVID. So we did have many online workshops for the placement officers on how to do online placements and online internships. We did have many scholarly articles at the regular intervals, which were released through our website. And then they were all compiled to form a book called Reimagining Indian Universities. We also had workshops on various platforms like TCS Ion or MS Team, like this, many platforms which the teachers and the students could use for learning online. And then there were roundtable of vice chancellors, workshops. I mean, actually the activities of AIU increased many-fold during the COVID time, and because most of the activities were online and we were saving time on sort of traveling and all. So many activities were held. And we also brought out many publications which were of great use to the vice chancellors, and I understand that the vice chancellors are liking those publications, and we will continue having such publications in future also. We did make an India higher education profile, which gave a state-wise view of how higher education figures are. That was based on the facts. So that is a pictorial book which gives by through base of graphs and very pictures that how the higher education is performing in various states. So a very good document in which the comparison between various states can be done, that how you can improve your own state in terms of higher education. We made a book on reimagining Indian universities, because in the context of future of education, in the context of post-COVID, the universities have to be reimagined. So Reimagining Indian University was a book which was published by AIU. We also made a COVID-19 response toolkit. Again, this was made in collaboration with Jindal Global University, because now the universities are reopening, and what are the step-by-step guide to reopen the universities in view of COVID pandemic. So that was a step-by-step guide, a very good document. It is available on the AIU website also, that how to reopen the institutions post-COVID. Then we have also conducted a survey on online preparedness of Indian universities, that how prepared the Indian universities are on online education. So all these things are available on the AIU website. Please go through and you will really love to see them. And last year, of course, we could not hold any youth affairs program because of the COVID, but we did hold one online youth program called Kuch Artistic Corona, in which the live performances from the students were invited, and something like 2,400 students from 600 universities participated in these live performances. And one very good thing which happened was the first Khelo India University Games that happened last year, in which was inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, and it was held in the Keet University, Bhubaneswar. Similarly, for equivalence and all, we have completely computerized the system, and now you can sort of apply online, pay the fee online, and download the equivalence certificate on your computer. You don't need to come to AIU, you don't need to send any email, it is all totally computerized. So that has been done during this COVID time, that the total computerization of AIU. Right now, most of the vice chancellors must have filled in their seniority list, which is required for deciding that who will be the president, vice president, and who will be the members on the governing council of AIU. So if any of the vice chancellors who are present here, if they have not filled in their seniority list, please go to AIU portal. We have already given you the login ID and the password. Please fill in your seniority so that we can decide that who will be the next vice president, or who will be the people who can be nominated on the governing council. So all these works we have done, including a lot of work on internationalization and signing MOUs with UUKIA and universities of Mexico. So all these issues we have taken up. The details I'll tell in the business session. Now coming to the theme of the conference, governance reforms and financing of higher education. We all know that the governance reforms were long overdue. And many times there were issues with regard to multiplicity of organizations. There was a conflict between, say, my main parent office is UGC. I have served in University Grants Commission for 30 years. So I have seen with my own eyes that there were conflicts of, domain areas between UGC, AICT, NCT. So the policy has rightly recommended that there should be a single umbrella organization called Higher Education Commission of India. And then secondly, world over, the funding as well as the governance, rather regulation, funding and the regulation are done by the separate organizations. But in India, they both were done by the same organization, my organization, that is UGC. So now the policy has rightly indicated that these should be separate functions. Therefore, under the Higher Education Commission, as the Vice Chancellor of the Geetham University was also mentioning, so under Higher Education Commission of India, there will be 4 verticals. One will be looking after regulation, one will be looking after funding, one will be looking after accreditation, and the one will be looking after, that will be very, very academic body of the HECI, that will be the General Education Council, which will be drafting the National Higher Education Qualification Framework. We will be surprised that in a country which is having such a big and large higher education system, second largest in the world, we have still not made National Higher Education Qualification Framework. So this graduate General Education Council will be given the responsibility of framing National Higher Education Qualification Framework, as well as the graduate attributes or learning outcome curriculum. Like this, they will be making. So although we are waiting for the bill on the HECI to be placed on the floor of the parliament, but nevertheless, we can all discuss here that what type of changes should be there in the governance structure, what should be contained in the HECI bill, and these can be passed on to the government for framing a better bill on HECI. Similarly, when it comes to institutional governance, within the institution, a lot of governance issues are there, because many institutions complain that they don't have a lot of independence and autonomy. So again, the policy has recommended that each institution will be governed by a board of governors. And again, that is happening for the first time. So that will totally eliminate the political interference in the universities. So those type of recommendations are there. So there's a special session on institutional governance, that how the governance within the institution, one is overall governance in terms of HECI and 4 verticals, but this is the institutional governance within the university, that how the Vice Chancellor should govern the university within the 4 walls of the university. So that is a very good session. It will be going to be there. And then one session is on financing of higher education. The government has committed that 6% of GDP will be given to education, and out of that, I think 25% should be coming to the higher education. The government is talking about National Research Foundation, and in this budget, 50,000 crores has been allocated to National Research Foundation. But then how to generate your own resources? We cannot, of course, the policy has said that there should be no differentiation between the private university and the government university. But I also feel that the Meet should be talking about what can be the ways of resource mobilization also. External resource mobilization as well as the internal resource mobilization, and we shouldn't be depending only on the fee. So only depending on the fee it may not be a good step in future. So all these issues will be discussed in the conference today and tomorrow to formulate implementation strategy document of AIU, which will be submitted to Government of India and the UGC and the AICT. So my request to all the Vice Chancellors would be to deliberate at length on these issues and norms and come out with critical recommendations which will help us to ensure that the implementation of the national policy is there in letter and spirit. We know that the India policy has the potential to make India a Vishwaguru once again, but the onus lies on the universities, the onus lies on the Vice Chancellors for its implementation in letter and spirit. With this, I would like to thank the Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh, Shri Vishwabhushan Harichandanji once again, and for agreeing to grace the occasion, and welcome all the Vice Chancellors to this meet. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for the warm greetings. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Dr. Tej Pratap, President, AIU, and Vice Chancellor, Gobind Ballabh Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar. A visionary and passionate agricultural scientist, Professor Tej Pratap initiated organic agriculture movement in India by setting up International Competence Center for Organic Agriculture. He made significant contributions as head of the Mountain Agriculture Program at the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development for 13 years. He is one among the rare few who had the credit of working in the Andean region of South America, Alps in Europe, African highlands, Asian uplands, and Thailand to Philippines, and Japan and every part of the 8 countries of the Hindu-Kush Himalayan region from Afghanistan to China to Myanmar. Recognizing his outstanding contributions, he was conferred with Himachal Ratna Award in 2001 by the Governor of Himachal Pradesh. He is also a recipient of the award of Honorary Professor of Mountain Agriculture by Tibet Academy of Agriculture and Animal Sciences, Lhasa, China in 1994, and Honorary Professor of Mountain Agriculture by Institute of Geography, Chinese Academy of Sciences, Beijing in 1995. May I now request you, sir, to deliver the presidential address.
Thank you very much, Sushma ji. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Shri Vishwa Bhushan Harichandan ji, Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh, President of Geetam University, Shri M. Bharat ji, my own colleague, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Shivaram Krishna of Geetam University, Vice President of Association of Indian Universities, Thiru Vasagamche, General Secretary of AIU, my colleague Pankaj Mittal, all of you Vice Chancellor colleagues from South Zone universities who are today online on this event, good morning. And I, on my behalf and on behalf of Association of Indian Universities, would once again like to say welcome to this event. It's an important annual affair that we Vice Chancellors have the opportunity to meet each other and discuss some issues that are important to us, common issues. Fortunately or unfortunately, last year when National Education Policy was announced by Government of India, then all of us had this responsibility of sitting together and talking about one thing: how do we implement it? Do we sit idle and let others tell us what do we do, how the implementation goes on? Or a platform like Association of Indian Universities, AIU, that's your own platform, takes this challenge and actually provides the opportunity to sit together and debate about different themes, topics, issues, and then recommend to government. Look, you have a policy announced and this is how we see that it should be implemented, the kind of nitty-gritties that are there. In this regard, we had meetings of 4 other zones with different topics. But today, the last meeting, we have the zonal meeting, the governance reforms and financing. You would agree with me that if these 2 issues are debated well, and we have a right implementation policy for how our higher education can be governed in future, and if you come up with the kind of suggestions how our financing could be made good, then they are actually the torch bearers of all other interventions that we have been talking about in others. Let me dwell a little bit on governance. The governance in higher education that we today are experiencing are, I would say, the beneficiaries or victims. I would put victims also. And there cannot be a person other than the Vice Chancellor who has been today the victim of these forces from different angles. We have governance structures at national level, multiplicity, and also a bit of confusion. Then I can quote you one example. We have University Grants Commission, we are in Council of Agriculture, said AICTE, accreditation one, accredited somebody else. And sometimes our own institutions do not recognize the initiatives or the results or decisions of the other body. Beneficiaries or victims, you and I, the Vice Chancellors, ultimately it comes to that level. Then why at national level only? National level, it was only policies. And similarly, at national level, the financing issues, we have the whole implementation of national education policy. I'm sure when you talk about it, all of you colleague Vice Chancellors would agree. If there is enough of money flowing, and all of us would take even much stronger challenges in reforming the whole higher education. If it does not meet the financial requirements that are needed for transforming the system, then this whole talk about a new era of education policy, that will then be, that may fall flat, or us would feel constrained. What do we do? Then state agriculture, state universities have another regime of governance that is at the state level. All of you know that funding also comes from the states. Directives come from the states. The state governments, today, there are 1,000 universities. I'm sure most universities, all of us are not now playing a level playing field in this sense. Different kind of state governance guidelines, do's and don'ts that are there. for running the universities. And that makes an impact on governance at the university level, governance within the universities. And when we come to that, I want you colleagues to talk about it at governance at national level, at state level, and your experiences and your frustrations, your good stories, that's equally good, success stories of governing or a university structurally. And its vice chancellors are the best people to share this thing. It's not only from outside that you have these guidelines, do's and don'ts, but a lot of these things, the structures of the universities, when you enter in, then you feel that heat, well, you feel a constrained guy. Or how is it that a university of the future, in a way, that's envisioned in national education policy, it would be a regime of minimum excellence and freedom to students. Regulatory, for example, if we talk about governance reforms, then even academic governance. It's an area we have actually put so many restrictions that today we are challenged for our own problems and created by us within the universities. Financing at university level, you have again the two kinds of things. The financial management from national level, we only get money. But from state level, you get money plus certain restrictions and limitations. But from within, the kind of financial regulations that I see in universities, having spent Honorable Governor almost 20 years in this job since 2001, I have seen a downslide of the financial governance that's going on in university. It's frustrating to say, but then it is very true that if we had modernized financial management systems in the university, and similarly aid, whatever it is, coming restrictions and limitations, much of the ills in the universities can be removed. It's a lot more a problem of that. So whatever we talk big, if these two areas are not dealt with properly for implementation of national education policy, I do not think that we will succeed. I will not make much comments on these things. You are the best judge in these two areas who have experienced in your own universities, with your own governments. And I want that in next 2 days' time, you listen to key speakers as well as share your experiences. And they become the building blocks of our recommendations to the government, how we like to be governed and how we will govern from within, how we will like and how much financing we would like to be given to move further to implement. And also then how the financial management, all of you, that's very important. This is the platform where you should share goodies and bad things, and that should be reformed. And if we have this thing done, I think we will have done a great job. It's a very practical area. Best wishes to all of you colleagues. By tomorrow, you will be envisioned. Once again, I appreciate the initiative of Geetham University to host the meeting online. And thank you very much, all of you colleagues in Geetham University for that. And namaskar, Governor Saab, for sparing your time to be present with us today. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your wisdom. It was great listening to you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a privilege to introduce the chief guest of today, His Excellency, the Honorable Shri Biswabhushan Harichandan. A veteran leader par excellence with a great political career, Shri Biswabhushan Harichandan is currently Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh. Shri Harichandan joined Bharatiya Janasangha in 1971 and became its national executive member and its state general secretary till the formation of Janata Party in 1977. During the era of emergency, he was detained under the MISA Act. After the formation of BJP in 1980, he was appointed as a president for the state till 1988 before he joined Janata Dal. He later returned to BJP in 1996. He was elected to the Odisha State Legislative Assembly 5 times. Shri Harichandan was elected for the 3rd time from Bhubaneswar Central seat in the bipolar elections of 1997 and continued to be a member from the same constituency 3 times in a row. He was also a cabinet minister in the BJD-BJP-led coalition government in 2004. In July 2019, he was appointed as the 23rd governor of Andhra Pradesh. A prolific writer, Sri Harichandan has authored several books, some of which include Marubadas, Mahasangramar, Mahanayak, Huksi Jagabandhu, Paika, Mutini, and his autobiography, Sangarsha Sarinahin. Sir, we deem it an honor and a privilege for having an august personality and a great son of India, Sri Viswabhushan Harichandan, with us today. Thank you, sir, for gracing the occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have the formal release of the University News Special Issue of AIU by Sri Viswabhushan Harichandan, Honorable Governor of Andhra Pradesh. May I request you, sir, to do the honors by clicking the mouse and to display the copy to the august gathering. Gathering. Thank you, sir. May I request you, sir, to kindly address the gathering.
Dr. Tej Pratap, President, Association of Indian Universities, and Vice Chancellor, G.V. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Pantnagar, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General, Association of Indian Universities, Sri M. Sri Bharat, President Gitam, Professor K. Shivaraman Krishna, Vice Chancellor Gitam, Visakhapatnam, South Zone Vice Chancellors, other dignitaries participating in this meeting, a very good morning to you all. It gives me immense pleasure to participate in the South Zone Vice Chancellors Meet 2020-21 organized by Association of Indian Universities. The Association of Indian Universities has been playing a vital role in shaping Indian higher education since its inception by being an integral part of all major decision-making committees and commissions, apart from being a representative body of higher education institutions of the country. I'm happy to learn that the AIU is a flagship body for Indian higher education institutions and valued source of research-based policy advice institution to the Government of India in the field of higher education, sports, and culture. As you all are aware, the Ministry of Education has launched a forward-looking, innovative, democratic, and learner-centric national education policy after a long gap of 34 years. The NEP 2020 envisages to develop knowledge, skills, values, and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development, and living and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global education. The NEP 2020 has the potential to transform the Indian higher education system to cater to the needs of 21st century. And the greatest challenge lies in its strategic implementation. For this, a well-laid-down action plan is required for its implementation in letter and spirit. I'm happy to note that as a step in this direction, the AIU has decided to organize for its annual National Vice Chancellors meets with the theme Implementing National Education Policy 2020 to transform higher education in India, and is now organizing the zonal meets on implementation strategies of different dimensions in the higher education section of the National Education Policy 2020 as run-up to the National Conference. We are living in the era of knowledge, and therefore higher education assumes unprecedented importance and is recognized as a capital investment all over the world, especially after the emergence of a new world economic order. Higher education is of paramount importance in growing the future leaders with advanced knowledge and skills to contribute to the national building and socio-economic development of the country. More than ever today, India is at the threshold of regaining her place as a knowledge superpower and one of the fastest progressing countries in the world, driven by growth in key sectors, improved higher education, quality of human resources, job creation, improved health care, etc. And is marching towards becoming a superpower. Whereas we take a lot of pride in these facts when it comes to the higher education, it is a typical case of development paradox. In terms of quantity, it is one of the fastest growing system occupying third position in the world after US and China. But as far as quality is concerned, the Indian universities do not figure in the world ranking of universities among the top rankers. The Indian higher education is also grappling with issues such as lack of employability skills, lack of student engagement, teachers' quality, inadequate staff infrastructure, lack of quality research, poor extension of outreach, etc. India's young population is its most valuable asset and most pressing challenge. It provides India with a unique demographic advantage, and at the same time, the opportunity will be lost without proportionate investment in the human capital development. In these circumstances, the country needs to be transformed into a developed nation within the next 2 decades by implementing the recommendations of the National Education Policy 2020. NEP 2020 identifies the key and long-term thrust area in higher education for financing to cultivate and education system by revamping colleges and universities to foster excellence, cultivating research, extensive use of technology, and online education. Investing in teacher education and continuing professional development of teachers. The policy also calls for the rejuvenation, active promotion, and support for private philanthropic activity in the education sector and commercialization of higher education for resource generation. Now, the need of the hour is to ensure that higher education institutions implement the recommendations of NEP 2020 effectively so that the aims and objectives of the higher education are realized. The world of tomorrow will be driven by knowledge, machine intelligence, and digital pathways, and to prepare ourselves for this transformation, it is necessary to redesign our higher educational policies with new courses and deeper research orientation. Ideation, innovation, and incubation should be given primacy in our curriculum. India has the third largest scientific human resource pool in the world and has the potential to become the R&D capital of the world. I'm happy to know that our universities have already made some progress with interdisciplinary approach, combining courses in mathematics with music and artificial intelligence with animal husbandry, etc. I hope the two-day meet of South Zone Vice Chancellors will bring our effective strategies to implement the National Education Policy 2020 to transform our higher education system in the country. Thank you all. Joy.
Thank you, sir, for stimulating all of us with your wisdom and mastery. We are grateful for the time and effort you took to share your valuable thoughts with us. This moment will be recorded as one of the most memorable moments in the annals of AIU and Geetham. Thank you very much, sir. May I now request Professor Jaishankar Warrior, Pro Vice Chancellor Academics Geetham, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Professor Sushma. It's indeed a privilege for me to give the vote of thanks on this August occasion. We are in the process of transforming ourselves from a prescriptive system to a truly more modern open choice-based system. Professor Shivaram Krishna, thank you for your welcome address, your address of many areas, including the history of the AIU, the history and contributions of Geetham, and the challenges and opportunities that have arisen from NEP 2020 was truly enlightening. Shri Bharat Garu, thank you for comparing the experiences as a student and the experiences of what we deliver in Geetham. Your address on the mission Geetham has to take place and the path of transformation for Geetham to a top university and the highlighting the challenges hence faced was truly illuminating. Dr. Pankaj Mittal, thank you for enlightening us on the activities of the AIU. It was comprehensive. The summary of the activities on the zonal conferences, the highlights of activities, especially online teaching and placements, was very useful. Thank you again for emphasizing on the implementation requirements and the process for NEP. Dr. Tej Pratap, thank you for highlighting the issues of governance. These are big issues and challenges that we all face, and the opportunities we have for interacting on policy, finance, and etc. was well elucidated. You also highlighted the lack of level playing field clearly, which is clearly very important. It has also motivated us for further action. Your Excellency, Vishwabhushan Harishchandran, thank you for the wishes for a successful conference. Your suggestions and observations for implementation of the NEP was timely and truly welcome. Your encouraging words on the importance of education, utilization of assets, and the challenges faced is truly appreciated. Thank you once again for sparing us the time to address us in spite of your heavy schedule. I thank AIU for giving us the opportunity to host this event, and my colleagues, the Registrar, Professor Narendran, and my other colleagues for helping us in organizing this event. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. May I now request the August gathering to rise for the national anthem.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. May I now request the August gathering to rise for the national anthem.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा जन शुभ आशीष मांगे पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे हिमाचल यमुना गंगा जय हे